The sergeant-at-arms and any officers appointed by her are directed to send for all absentees whose attendance is not excused for the purposes of securing and maintaining their attendance under warrant of arrest if necessary until further order of the House.
We just watched the speaker gavel out with a whole lot of anger, Kelly. Here's the state of play. Here's
MSNBC sucks.
Hey, how are you?
MSNBC sucks.
Can I talk to you for a second?
MSNBC sucks.
You can see.
Okay.
You can see the frustration.
Sometimes this happens, and we understand that that can happen. And while we love free speech, we're going to keep control here. So, Ryan, thank you. Shaq, thank you. A volatile story. We'll be following it. And apparently, not only Shaq cleaned up. Okay. Stay with us here because Ryan has cleared the set, as we would like to say. The gentleman moved on. So, Ryan, let me turn back to you. Nicely handled there. Can you give us an update on, as you were walking us through this, we'll all take a breath there. Maybe not. Okay. Go ahead, Ryan. See,
Hold on 1 second.
Yeah. Okay. We're just going to pull the plug there. Thank
Kelly,
you,
this
Ryan.
is all playing out in real time.
It sure
Passion
is.
high.
Yes.
There's a whole lot of anger here, as you can see. So we're going to get a control of this and come back to you when we can.
Fair enough, fair enough. And we recognize people are expressing their views, and we're there to cover it. You do that job. We'll move on with our audience. Thanks for your patience with all of that.
Boy. So we got to talk about the fugitive Democrats that have fled Texas. And these fugitive Democrats, they're now on the hot seat because for every day that they are gone, okay, they're not doing their jobs, they are getting fined, okay? They're getting fined. They face the possibility of being arrested. They're facing the possibility of having their seats removed. This is the beginning of all of this. But these Democrats, again, they're facing a number of punishments for what clearly is a political stunt designed to fundraise off of something that they know they can't stop, right? They can't stop what the Republicans are going to do. But they pull this stunt in order to raise money from gullible idiots across the country who believe that Democrats are finally fighting against Trump, right? This is, again, what they're doing here, right? This is the angle that they're coming at it from.
They understand that we have a Timo Hitler in the White House right now that thinks that he is going to become the dictator of the United States. Well, I got another thing to tell you, sir. The Democrats, no matter whether we're talking about these Texas House Democrats, or whether we're talking about the governor from Illinois, the governor from California, or whether we're talking about New York, or I can go through the states and it's not just the governors. It is the state houses. It is the state senators. It is those congressional delegations that are saying, do what you got to do and I will fight and I will win and I will earn my seat back to the people's house in D.C. I am here to tell you that time is up for playing in our faces. The Democrats are not going to stand for this any longer. We know that we are standing for the people. And so long as we stand for the people, I absolutely believe the people are going to stand for us.
The Democrat Party is self-destructing. I mean, when you have low IQ people like Crockett, I wonder if she's any relationship to the late, great Davy Crockett, who was a great gentleman. I wonder if she's got any relationship to Davy Crockett, the great old Davy Crockett. But you have this woman, Crockett. She's a very low IQ person. Somebody said the other day she's one of the leaders of the party. I said, you got to be kidding. The Democrats are lost. They have Trump derangement syndrome so bad that they can't walk. They can't talk. I mean. They don't know where they're going. Schumer is finished. Schumer, look, I watched him the other day. He's lost all of his confidence.
40% are... Hey, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. Before we dive in, I wanted to mention something that might be helpful to some of you if you've ever been in a situation where you've been injured, or whether in an accident or dealing with a legal issue, you know how overwhelming it can be to figure out where to turn. That's precisely why I wanted to talk about our valued sponsor, Morgan & Morgan. They understand that in this country, every individual deserves a fair shot, and that means having formidable representation when you need it the most. Morgan & Morgan stands up for everyday Americans fighting for the justice you deserve if you end up working with them. They're America's largest injury law firm, and they've recovered over $25 billion for more than 500 100,000 clients. That's not just a number. That's a testament to their unwavering dedication to getting results for those who've been wrong. Now, what truly resonates with me about Morgan & Morgan is their core philosophy. They don't get paid unless they win your case. It's about accountability and results and ensuring that the little guy has the same access to powerful legal representation as anyone else without upfront costs. They believe in fighting for individual rights and ensuring that hardworking Americans aren't left behind. So if you or a loved one has been injured or needs a strong advocate to navigate a difficult legal battle, don't face it alone. Because when you hire Morgan & Morgan, it's like hiring a legal army that has your back. You can start your claim now by clicking the link in the description or by scanning the QR code on screen from your phone's camera. Standing up for what's right for your family and for your future is always the conservative choice. A big thank you to Morgan & Morgan for their sponsorship and for supporting content that champions American values. Now, let's dive back into it. And yeah, there are a lot of ways that this could backfire on Democrats.
Texas Democrats prevented the State House from moving forward, at least for now, with a vote on redrawn congressional maps. Hello, everybody. I'm Heather Hayes.
And I'm Steve Eager. It's 9 o'clock. Dozens of Democrats flew to other states, including Illinois and New York. Republican House Speaker Dustin Burrows signed off on civil arrest warrants, but there's not much that can be done with the members in a different state. Fox 4's Amelia Jones is in studio tonight with more on all this back and forth. Amelia.
Yeah, Heather, Steve, in the press conference earlier today, Texas House Democrats remained a united front in the decision to break quorum. Meanwhile, back in Austin, House Republicans were all set to start the debate on the new redistricting maps. Instead, they issued arrest warrants for all the Democrat members that were not present. The standoff between Texas House Republicans and Democrats intensified Monday afternoon when more than 50 Democrats did not show up, preventing the House from reaching quorum. Republican House leaders issued civil arrest warrants for the members who were not present.
I have signed the civil arrest warrants. We will work with DPS to locate members.
These warrants are only active within state lines, and one way to evade this is by fleeing the state. Democrat representatives are currently spread out across Illinois, New York, and Massachusetts. Governor Abbott ordered the Texas Department of Public Safety to assist with the arrest. He also mentioned the possibility of removing members who vacate their office. The legality of doing so is still unclear. When asked if he agrees with the governor, House Speaker Dustin Burrows didn't give a direct answer.
So you have asked me a legal question, and as a lawyer, I try not to give legal answers without actually studying and knowing all of the facts in the law.
SMU political science professor Matthew Wilson says removing lawmakers from their seats would be unprecedented.
I don't think the governor wants to do that unless he feels like this is just never ending and his hand is forced. But that would be a huge escalation of this process.
Texas Democrats stood in solidarity Monday evening in Chicago. President Trump has said he wants to add 5 Republican seats to maintain the Republican slim U.S. House majority. The proposed maps show Democrats could lose seats in North Texas, Houston, Austin, and South Texas. Texas Democrats argue that the proposed maps would suppress minority voters.
My community is a majority minority district. And so when we do these kinds of play these political games that Republicans want to play with our communities, it hurts our people like in my district.
Members who break quorum also face a fine of $500 a day for being absent after Republican leaders passed a rule in 2023. Wilson says these fines could come into play if the standoff drags out.
Now, the governor has talked about trying to charge Democrats who accept money from donors to pay for their fines with felony bribery. Now, that would be a different ballgame. If that were to happen, then there could be warrants issued for their arrest on charges of felony bribery. Then they could make extradition requests to these out-of-state law enforcement jurisdictions.
Wilson says if it came to that, it's unknown if law enforcement in Democrat states like Illinois and New York would cooperate. The special session ends on August 19th. Governor Abbott will likely call an additional special session, and the 30-day clock restarts. When Democrats broke quorum in 2021, it lasted nearly 5 weeks before representatives returned and legislation passed.
But again, if you listen to the soul sisters of the Democrat Party, apparently they're not afraid of being arrested. They're not afraid of the punishment. This is what they claim.
I'm a lawyer. A part of my practice is criminal defense work. There is no felony in the Texas Penal Code for what he says. So respectfully, he's making up some shit, okay? He's trying to get sound bites, and he has no legal mechanism. And if he did, subpoenas from Texas don't work in New York, so he gonna come get us how? Subpoenas in Texas don't work in Chicago. He's going to come get us how? So let me be clear. He's putting up smoke and mirrors, and I'm hopeful that the media doesn't follow that.
I don't say ultimately. I never say ultimately because I don't have a give-up attitude whatsoever. But right now, the governor has decided that he wants to waste more of Texans' resources by deciding that he's going to send out the troopers. And listen, I don't even think that he's going to do that. I think he's just talking. Earlier today, I posted a copy of the warrant that was signed by the speaker, because it's the Speaker of the House that can put the call on the House, not the governor. And no one came to get me last time. In fact, it is a cute little warrant that has a cute little frame on it. And so they like to talk a big game, but the reality is that, number one, you have a lot of intelligent attorneys that actually serve in the Texas.
Yeah. So apparently Democrats don't realize that eventually they're going to have to come back to Texas, where they will be subject to arrest. In fact, I just believe that the governor of Texas should just go ahead and start charging them with felony bribery, okay, if/when, which I'm pretty sure they already have been doing this. But once they start raising money, right, which I'm pretty sure, that's what they're going to do. Yeah, go ahead and charge them with that. Get the extradition request out there, okay? See if the Democrat states cooperate. If they don't cooperate, then proceed to remove them from their seats and to have special elections to have them replaced. It's really that simple. If they want to play these games, then they can win stupid prizes, right? Because this is a stupid game. And Democrats should win a stupid prize. They tried to play this game a couple years ago. Didn't work. Republicans still passed the legislation that they were trying to pass. They still did what they were trying to do. You don't have the power. You are a minority, okay? And you're kicking and screaming and crying and throwing a tantrum because you don't want to participate in democracy, right? That's what Democrats are doing right now. So with that being said, I want to react to Brian Harrison, who is a Republican for the Texas State House, go on CNN and absolutely spank this anchor, who basically is defending the Democrats and their hypocrisy on this issue of gerrymandering and redistricting. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it.
To be held accountable for. You've been outspoken in your criticism of Republican leadership in your state. I just want to point out that as you describe this disparity between the electoral vote, the popular vote, and the House, it's quite possible that a lot of voters split their tickets, and that's why you see the result that you see in the House versus presidential election. Nevertheless, it doesn't seem like you're making a full-blown legal justification for doing this now. Rather, you're fully embracing the idea that this is political. I wonder if this would be happening had President Trump not called for it.
Well, I actually think it's a shame that President Trump had to say anything about it. Why did if Texas had bold elected Republican leadership, we would have gotten this done without being prompted during the regular session, something that I fully supported. And let's talk about, this hypocrisy here. Illinois and California have been much more aggressive in their approach on redistricting than even the new maps that Texas is contemplating. This is a very inconvenient fact. Why is CNN? Why don't you have it on your Chiron right now? Every time you play Governor Pritzker, why don't you point out that Illinois, under his leadership, has a 45% of the vote goes to Republicans in Illinois, but the Governor Pritzker only gives Republicans 15% of the congressional delegation. That is a much more aggressive partisan design redistricting effort that was overseen by the radical liberal Democrat Governor Pritzker than is even being contemplated by the map that we were supposed to vote on here in the state of Texas 2 hours from now.
So you would support federal legislation, I imagine, to fight gerrymandering across the board?
Here's what I want to support. I want to make sure that elected Republicans in the state of Texas are doing everything we can to make sure that Congress, the United States Congress, in the upcoming midterm elections, does not fall into the hands of the radical extremist Democrat
This is purely
Party,
a political
what that party has
move.
become. And hey, I got to make this point.
This is purely a political move. This isn't about
the
making
U.S.
sure.
Constitution.
Sir, let me ask the question. You are clearly making the argument that this needs to happen for political reasons. That because your argument is Democrats have gerrymandered, therefore Republicans must also gerrymander. Why not get rid of gerrymandering altogether and actually put the power in the hands of voters to make the republic more efficient?
Well, I actually think we are trying to make the maps more representative. And here's the reality. The United States Constitution and the Constitution of the great state of Texas absolutely allows us to undergo this type of redistricting effort. So we're doing something that's completely legal, it's completely constitutional, and I'm doing everything I can in my power as an elected member of the state of Texas to make sure that the state of Texas does everything in its power to make sure that Republicans hold on to a majority in the United States Congress. It's as simple as that. That's completely legal. It's totally permissible. The United States Supreme Court has said so on multiple occasions. We should have, quite frankly, we should have done this during the regular session and had this in the rearview mirror by now.
Yeah, so this CNN anchor wants this Republican to basically say, hey, well, why don't you support getting rid of gerrymandering nationwide? And it's like, well, first and foremost, again, this guy is a Texas State House representative, right? So he's a state level politician. This is a question for a national level politician. But regardless of that, has CNN ever asked a Democrat, hey, do you guys support just getting rid of gerrymandering altogether, right? Since you hate Republicans gerrymandering so much, okay, except, you know, Democrats gerrymander all the time and nobody really cares when Democrats do it, but when Republicans do it, all of a sudden now is a big problem, and racism and hate and bigotry and Voting Rights Act and all this other stuff they say, right? Yeah, why is it that you never ask a Democrat that question? Why are Democrats never asked about their support for gerrymandering? Because, again, Democrats love gerrymandering when they're doing it, but they hate it when Republicans are doing it. So, again, it's just funny to me how CNN is all of a sudden concerned about, well, why don't you just want to stop all gerrymandering? They've never showed that concern with Democrats of gerrymandering at all. At all.
So then is your objection against Pritzker or Newsom doing the same thing purely that it doesn't advantage your party? That's not consistent.
No, I've never said something like that. You're putting words in my mouth. My objection,
you're pointing the finger at them,
isn't that he's not allowed to do it. My objection is the rank hypocrisy and dishonesty of what he's saying. I'm going to hold this up. Can you see this? Do you see this? I want Pritzker. Did y'all have him on to explain Illinois 13, this pinky-sized finger that goes across the entire state that was 100% drawn for partisan political purposes? But I haven't seen anybody at CNN or pretty much any of the other major networks bringing him on, or the Democrats and his legislator that drew a map with districts that are far more gerrymandered than anything that the House, that the Texas maps that we're contemplating look like here today. So it's rank hypocrisy. That's my problem. And the dishonesty and the faux outrage. They're not mad that states are redistricting for partisan purposes. They're mad that a Republican state is doing it.
Facts. That's all it is. And that's what this CNN anchor is mad about too, right? It's the fact that Republicans are doing it because he never has his smoke for Democrats when they do it, right? They never have this type of smoke for Democrats. But all of a sudden when Republicans do it, they got this smoke. Again, the point is that Democrats have gerrymandered the hell out of their states. Why can't Republicans gerrymander their states? Yeah, I think it is fair to ask the question of, okay, you know, why not just get rid of it altogether at the federal level? But again, that's a question for a national level politician, which this guy is not.
I would welcome Governor Pritzker to come on our program and talk about his congressional maps, but I'm asking you about yours. And there are some funny-looking ones in Texas. Sir, I'm having a conversation with you right now.
Why haven't you asked him about it? These maps were approved 2 years ago.
He's more than welcome to come on CNN, but I'm having a conversation with you about the funny-looking districts that you've drawn in Texas, and it doesn't seem like you object to the idea of gerrymandering to begin with. Why not bring in an independent, nonpartisan council to help you draw lines that actually are representative of the folks in your state? Because as you know, Texas isn't purely red. There are a lot of Democratic voters there.
AKA, why don't you handicap yourself in ways that Democrats don't, right? Why don't you just go ahead and just, bring in a quote unquote independent commission, right? And just handicap yourself. That's what this dude is asking, because he's living in la-la world, right? Where, again, Republicans are expected to handicap themselves, to play under a set of rules that gives them a disadvantage, just so that they can say that, well, at least we're not like Democrats, while at the same time, Democrats benefit from the ability to gerrymander and to rig their states and their elections in their favor, right? But Republicans should be able to do it in theirs. That's how these people want to play the game, right? They want to shame Republicans because Republicans are trying to level the playing field with Democrats, right? Nope, don't you level the playing field with Democrats. That makes you a bad person too, right? That's the game they want to play. So, again, the point here, is to level the playing field. That's the whole point.
You want some nonpartisan bureaucrat, some new government council, and you were asking me just a minute ago about my concerns about circumventing the will of the voters. The voters, the 30 million voters of the state of Texas, elected me and 149 other colleagues. It's called the elected representatives in the People's House of Representatives. What you're talking about would be one of the biggest ways you could possibly circumvent and silence the will of the voters, as opposed to what I'm proposing, which is saying let the people's elected representatives roll up their sleeves and do the hard work of legislating. Let us vote on the map.
Elected representatives, if they continue the pattern that you're describing, which is just gerrymander, you're just going to gerrymander to keep power. Isn't that a problem?
Well, right now, it looks like a lot of my Democrat colleagues don't want lots of their representatives or their constituents to even have a voice. They're depriving them of voice by not even showing up for work today. So I'm the one saying, hey, I'm here to work. I'm giving voice to my 200,000 Texans. Where are you?
Sure.
Show up, and if you have a problem with this, voice it on the floor instead of lawlessly abdicating your responsibility and fleeing and hiding under or behind Governor Pritzker in Illinois, who, by the way, has gerrymandered more than maybe just about any other state in the country.
Texas State Representative Brian Harrison, we appreciate you sharing your point of view with CNN. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah. So, again, if it's such a problem, CNN, why don't you ever lecture Democrats on their gerrymandering, right? Why don't you ever go off on Democrats the same way you go off on Republicans? Why don't you treat Democrats the same way you treat Republicans, since this is such a terrible issue, right, for CNN? Again, these people make me sick. I can't stand the hypocrisy of the Democrats. I can't stand the hypocrisy of the liberal media. The liberal media expects Republicans to just roll over the Democrats. Just allow the Democrats to cheat, right? Because that's what they're calling it. They're calling it cheating. Allow the Democrats to cheat, but you better not cheat, right? You better not cheat, but allow the Democrats to cheat, right? That's essentially what's going on here. And again, I'm glad that Republicans are not rolling over and just allowing Democrats to maintain an advantage they never should have had in the first place, because the census in 2020 was done incorrectly. Okay, these blue states already have more seats than they should have. Okay, and they've lost a lot of people. So yeah, I think that mid-decade redistricting makes sense for the purposes of democracy, right? Because again, this would be much more representative of the people and the will of the people than what we currently have right now. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.